Oh, you decided against the Brick Belichick look with the hood up?
I can keep it. I can keep it up. But if I didn't realize how big the hood actually was. I do have the sleeveless look going though. The Belichick.
That's 100% Belichick then.
Yeah.
Just go buy brand new hoodies now since we're all billionaires, right?
Exactly.
Dogecoin. Invest to the moon.
AMC so far, Brick.
I didn't hear you. What?
How much money have you lost on AMC?
Not that much. Only like $200.
It's not terrible. You got to be, if you're going to invest in something, especially as stupid as this, you got to be willing to fully lose everything that you're putting into it.
Exactly. I didn't risk more than I was willing to lose. And I was like, if they didn't stop the market altogether for AMC, GME, all these other Nokia, I think things would have turned out a little differently. But Robinhood, just the classic, likes to rob from the poor and give to the rich. Just reverse.
There's still time.
Exactly. That's why you got to hold. Hold.
God, the memes that came
fucking selling.
Fucking brilliant. I love it.
What's your favorite meme that has been from this stock market fiasco?
Anything with Doge in it. Just like Doge on the moon. Get in, loser. We're going to the moon. Anything diamond hands. It's all gold.
Mark?
Dude, the whole, I don't know. It's all these Instagrams that are just pretending to be like that typical guy that's investing in Doge and fucking GME and texting all of his friends like, we're going to the fucking moon. Like Danny Lee Piore did this video that was hilarious. But I don't know.
The guy who sings, I'm sucking on them titties, boy. Okay.
He's like, I made so much money off Doge. I went on eBay and bought a fucking baby for $4,500. It's like, what?
Dude, I swear, every week just gets weirder than the last one we just finished. I'm so terrified of whatever's going to happen next.
Right. Yeah. So storm the Capitol and 2 weeks into, or that was only a week into 2021. And now the stock market's just crippling the economy, or could be crippling the U.S. economy because it's just some crazy shit.
It's always on Wednesdays too. I don't know what's up with Wednesdays, but it's just like when all the freaks come out. Now I'm starting to see memes about storming the Vatican because the Pope can't molest us all at once.
What the fuck? Have you guys ever been to the Vatican?
No. Why the fuck would I go to the Vatican?
I've been to the Vatican.
Why the fuck would you go to the Vatican?
Because it's a historical place to go, and it's beautiful, and it's crazy to go in there and see all that history behind it. In Italy,
the house that the pedophiles built.
They have a giant wall around that place.
That makes up for it.
That's all I'm saying.
And the Gilgamesh.
Yeah. We got a couple of texts and voicemails this week. So I think we'll probably start there. First of all, we got a text message. And we plug this every week. You don't have to call us. You can also text us just like Panda did, who's in the chat right now. You can text us at 847-920-6107. So he's writing with a question. He says, this week, a couple trailers dropped, pushing the option to see in theaters or the streaming service. So we're talking about Godzilla versus Kong and Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon. Even with the vaccine, COVID cases continue to rise, depending on where you are, probably. Question is, what measures would you guys take? What measures would make you guys comfortable to go back to a theater? So AMC and Cinemark opened, in theory, again, based on where you are. But the general question here is, what's it going to take to get you back in the theater? Mark, what about you?
I think I'm in a different boat here because I caught COVID. So although I'm not trying to be around COVID, obviously, because you can catch it twice, supposedly. And that's just, you should be conscious of who you're around. I was actually comfortable with going to theaters. We went to theaters for Tenet, but that was when they had capacities of 30% or 25% or whatever. I think there are a lot more situations that people are currently in where they go out into public for grocery shopping and getting essential things for living, but people still go out in public. And I think if they keep doing the 30% capacity or whatever in theaters, I think you're susceptible to catching COVID somewhere else, like going to the grocery store, or, I mean, fucking look at this holiday weekend. You see all the people flying places. That's fucking ridiculous. Yes, they're wearing masks in O'Hare, but there's a shit ton of people, out and about. So I think if they keep it to 30% or whatever, and they clean as they say they are with like the Lysol partnership, I think you're fine. That's just my opinion.
First of all, there's no way that they're cleaning the way that they say they are. And the people there that are making minimum wage, the high schoolers, don't give a shit about disinfecting a theater.
Every chair. Yeah.
But people are you're still going to the gym. People are still going to the gym, and you can't be like, oh, there's no risk there. There is a risk. People are touching the weight.
Agree. The gym thing for me is more of like a mental health thing.
Yeah. And I get that.
I fully accept that, every time I go somewhere where there are other people or like a public space, that there's a chance I could get it. But some of those things are more necessary than others. You mentioned the grocery store. You got to have food. You don't have to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
And for the foreseeable future, for at least for as long as I can, like if I have the option to watch it at home, like Godzilla versus Kong, I will be staying home.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as I want to go sit in like a THX Dolby theater for the foreseeable future, and I've got a young kid, so obviously that weighs on me too. But I don't know. Let's get the other perspective out of you, Brick.
So depending on what time you go, even pre-COVID, you could have just an empty theater going to see these movies. So going to an opening night, I wouldn't go to something like that because there's a possibility of having a bunch of people obviously going there. But now that it's COVID, if it's 30%, you can sit 6 feet away and not have any issues. I think the Disney movie I could pass, but when I watched the new Godzilla versus Kong trailer, I really wanted to see that one in theaters. And that was one of the movies that I was like, yeah, I'm already paying $15 a month for HBO Max, but I might just want to pay another $10 to see it in that giant mega IMAX theater. And so certain movies I would risk going to go do it and see it. Most movies probably not though. I do miss the theater experience though, because you get the pop. If you want, you can go get the popcorn. You can have, it's an experience for me.
Azrael's asking, can we imagine plexiglass dividers between the seats? That is actually a fucking brilliant idea.
There's no need though, because if they stick to the capacity thing, you're still going to be over 6 feet. I mean, we didn't have anyone closer than 15 feet from us in the seats.
I still want this to happen though. I don't want to
just want it there just to feel better. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it divides the armrests in a PAX theater. Do you remember PAX theaters? God, that's such a foreign concept, but I don't want to smell Mark's farts if he's sitting next to me in a movie theater.
My Jimmy Johnson sandwich.
The plexiglass is not going to help.
It'll direct the fart air upwards. Yeah, but it's probably not a well, Brick, you just completely blurred yourself. Hold your finger up to your camera. Should I totally lie? Oh yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong would be cool to see in a theater. I'm lucky enough to have basically like a home theater in my basement. It's not like a projector or anything. Like I'm not Brick level rich, but I do have a big TV and a nice sound system, and it's a 7-channel surround system. And I watched that trailer and I'm like, fuck. I have 5 speakers right now. I need to add those extra 2. I need like big floor standing speakers before Godzilla vs. Kong comes out.
You need butt rumbling. What is that? Dolby?
So like a standard Dolby receiver, there's like the 5.1, which is 5 surround speakers and one subwoofer, and then there's the 7.2. I could technically add another subwoofer and make it real butt rumbling. Just saying.
You should, now that you're the 1%.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Coach hasn't been sold yet. And again, as I reiterated on our emergency broadcast earlier this week, Brick, you haven't made a dime until you sell. That money is not real until somebody buys it off you.
I haven't lost any money on AMC because I haven't sold anything. Hold!
Well, I mean, you are technically out your initial investment, but
I love the people. I mean, this was always the case for altcoins and crypto in general, like years ago when it was fucking crazy. It's crazy right now with Bitcoin. But whenever somebody would have an altcoin or whatever, and it would obviously be going up, they would be like, I made this much money on it. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't, because you're holding it and you're not going to sell it. And then they'd be like, That's a good point, but technically I could have made this much. Same case right now with people in GameStop. I guarantee you those guys, I mean, that's the whole point, is they're holding, they're not selling, but still you have all these people like, yeah, I got a free stock from Robinhood. Right now I made like $300 on GameStop. I'm like, no, you didn't, because you're not going to sell it.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's fun.
That and the sheer number of people whose minds were blown this week to find out that a stock doesn't entitle you to anything. Like, it doesn't entitle you to a good company's earnings or anything like that.
You can't walk into GameStop and be like, I get that 50% off, right?
Yeah, I own part of GameStop now. No, you don't. There's literally millions of shares outstanding. You own like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percentage.
So you
And
do
also,
own it, though.
Sure. But I mean, it doesn't, there's no intrinsic value in a stock, which I if you want to learn more about this, Brick and I did a video on it. It's on our YouTube, but
how many people you think went out in the last week to buy a monitor and they put it vertical and just like sat back and watched the GameStop stock?
Just watch like a ticker go across the bottom.
Just watching it. Yeah. Pretending like they're doing shit.
Well, I mean, you say anything with enough confidence and people will believe you. That's all I did on our video. But
mutual fund this, mutual fund that. I mean, hedge fund. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
The number of times that I said mutual fund and meant hedge fund drove me fucking insane.
Dead cat bounce.
Yeah. Also, that's the other thing is the verbiage and the like investing colloquialisms that have come out now that everybody's using wrong. The number of times that people have said Ponzi scheme this week is infuriating to me. This is not a fucking Ponzi scheme. That's not how Ponzi schemes work.
And then they say like pyramid scheme, and you're like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Ponzi scheme works by convincing people to invest with you, and you continue convincing new people to invest with you. You take their money, the new people's money, to show the original investors that you're earning money, even though you're not really earning money. This is the whole Bernie Madoff thing, and that's how he fucks so many people, is he was taking new investing capital to give slight gains to the old people and then saying, ooh, it's gone, like the old South Park meme.
And it's gone.
You keep taking on capital from new investors, but you're not actually making money in the markets. That's a Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
But
we were talking about this yesterday, Smithers, about I don't think there's really a case for these Redditors. Like I would say the only thing SEC could try to use is collusion, to say they're colluding with each other, but even that is a far stretch. I also was super surprised because I was thinking like, all right, SEC is looking into this. They're going to do something, but that's going to take a few months. So this could technically continue for the next couple of months or so. And then all of a sudden Robinhood shut down. I'm like, well, that could happen as well. And that could just ruin everything. So, because you would think the majority of people are investing in Robinhood that are doing this.
The majority of these people in this particular instance, yeah, I think are on Robinhood. But collusion or market manipulation requires the idea that what you were doing was not made available to the general public. And since what they were doing was on a public forum, like as far as the Reddit side of things, there is no recourse for the SEC.
Yeah.
The only other thing is if Robinhood's going to get in trouble, and I obviously have not read the terms, the sign up terms, because fuck that. I haven't read that for anything ever, the terms and conditions, but unless they violated the terms and conditions, there's no case to be made against them. And I saw some dude in Naperville is already starting the class action suit, probably without any backing behind it and any real opportunity to clean out Robinhood for something like this. It's bad for them publicly, but I don't think anything's going to happen to Robinhood. Smash cut to 6 months from now when they're completely out of business. But
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's move on to a voicemail that we got from Kyle. And Kyle is a longtime caller in, longtime listener. I liked this because, Mark, you pointed out he called in and left one voicemail and, in his own words, completely fucked it up. And he just called back again and left another voicemail. And amazing. You can do it. So what I'm trying to say is don't be nervous if you're going to call us, because if you completely fuck it up, you could just call us back and be like, hey, please don't use my voicemail. And we'll honor that because we love you.
And here's the first voicemail you fucked up on for everyone to hear. Go, Smithers. Now, considering how many times he's called in, the fact that he's only fucked up one voicemail, pretty impressive. Yeah, so we appreciate it.
Our guy Kyle's a teacher, so he has public speaking experience. Let's see what he has to say.
Chump, what's going on? It's Uncle Kyle. I'm trying this again because I royally fucked up the first message. So, here we go. I got 3 things that I want to ask you guys. Number 1, Smithers. Make sense of all of the stock market stuff and why I should potentially care about the fact that I just signed up for Charles Schwab today.
Okay, let's pause there. Check out our YouTube video, and it'll fully make sense, at least what's going on here. I'm not saying that you'll be a pro investor, because I'm sure as fuck not, but at least what's going on with GameStop will make sense to you. Brick, were you going to say something?
No, I was just kind of giving nonverbals, which is great for a podcast.
Yeah, great. You held your finger up, and I thought you meant you wanted me to pause it and talk. So
No, I was reiterating Uncle Kyle's number 1 point. Number 1.
Back to the voicemail.
Number 2. This is a question I've been meaning to ask you guys, but what is a bad movie that you will defend with your dying breath? For me, it's the Power Rangers movie that came out in 1995.
Ivan Ooze. You remember the song, like, heads up, we're in trouble, or whatever? I still can probably sing that front to back. I'll give you guys a chance to think about that, and we'll come back when the voicemail's over.
And yeah, it's a bad movie, but don't talk about it. Don't talk negatively about it, because I will fight you.
I'll fucking kill you.
So yeah, what's a bad movie that you will defend like it's your child? And then number 3, by the time this episode comes out, my brother Kerry will be 30. Monday, February 1st is his birthday, so I just wanted to know if you guys could give him a little bit of a shout. He's a fan as well. You guys are awesome. You know that. And yeah, enjoy the snow and the stock. Take care.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Kyle. We appreciate you. I would love to give a shout out to Carrie, but he's never called into the show, so fuck you, Carrie. I'm just kidding. Happy birthday.
Is it Carrie or
Happy
Terry?
birthday, Carrie.
I thought it was Terry. Hold on. I'm going to say it's Terry. You guys can say Carrie, just because it's going to be one or the other, and I don't want to fuck it up.
So you're trying to gamble on something else again.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's the time we're in.
Bad movie that I will defend. Well, anything with Nick Cage, but this was an original, like when this movie came out, probably 15 years ago. I loved Constantine with Keanu Reeves, and people shit on it at the time, but now I think people are starting to go back and watch it and think, wait, this wasn't so bad, because it's got some really good performances in it, and young Shia LaBeouf, younger Keanu, even though he's supposedly 400 years old and a vampire. Constantine is the one that I will defend, because I really, really enjoy that movie. Mark, do you have one other than Tenet?
Fuck you. I have a couple. I would say the first one that comes to mind, and these are all movies I watched, growing up throughout my childhood.
Can we say this at the same time? I think I know what movie you're going to say.
I don't think you do. Well, let's
all right. 1, 2, 3.
Trolls 2. Okay.
No. Trolls 2 is just fucking hilarious. That has a cult following, so people really like that movie, even though they know it's fucking horrendous. This was a movie I legitimately thought was amazing growing up, and I still do. It's Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, where he's fucking climbing the rocks and he fucking kills the Russian guy and throws him off the edge and shit. Big spoiler there. But I still love that movie, and people say it's shitty acting, a shitty movie all around. Fuck you guys. I also love Three Ninjas movies.
Now on Hulu.
Yeah.
If you're interested, Rocky Loves Emily. Brick, what about you?
It wasn't like the most known movie, but people remember this one, Ready to Rumble with David Arquette. Do you remember that movie? That movie, I watched that movie so many times over and over and over again, and I thought it was hilarious and so good. Ready to Rumble is my movie that I defend to the death.
Have you followed anything about David Arquette recently?
No.
So he went to be like a real wrestler for a while. He was showing up on Monday Night Raw, and probably not Monday Night Raw, like more low-level shit. But he released a documentary I want to say within the last year, called "You Can't Kill David Arquette" or something along those lines. and it's about him in wrestling and how he was so hated because he was a famous actor, and then he came into wrestling, and it was like somebody privileged infiltrating and just immediately shooting up the ranks because he had name recognition. So people were super pissed about that, but he was a heel anyways in wrestling. So
that's perfect then.
So if you love Ready to Rumble, then maybe you should go watch that doc.
Might have to check it out. I've been on a doc tear lately. Watched the Tiger documentary on HBO, part 1 and 2, and then I also watched the DB Cooper documentary on HBO.
Very nice.
I think we also, with Kyle's question, I think we also have to take in consideration, like, what do you consider a movie that people think are bad? Are you looking at like critics reviews and rankings and scores online? Like Ace Ventura gets fucking terrible ratings from critics. It has like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, fucking 1 star for a lot of websites. I fucking love that movie and will watch it over and over again.
Yeah, I think that's just to like the audience loves that movie. Like it's one of those quotable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think when you say bad movie, generally people know what you're talking about. I had this argument last night. Nothing drives me more insane than when somebody says something is objectively bad and it's a movie. That's not how movies work. It's fully subjective. Like if I sat down and watched a movie that's made for 5-year-olds, I'm going to think it sucks, but some 5-year-old's going to fucking love it.
And
that's
me.
the entire point of movies. Brick, you'll love it too because you have the brain of a 5-year-old. But
Lit.
sorry, that was kind of a sideswipe there.
Oh shit!
It was a direct hit, actually. I don't know.
No, it was a side. So I like my car Jetta getting my door
getting brickettoed.
Yeah.
God.
All right.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, I love getting questions from the audience, so please keep them coming. We got some trailers this week, and obviously we already alluded to Godzilla versus Kong. I was honestly more interested in the internet arguing about like King Kong not having any chance to beat the shit out of Godzilla because Godzilla has nuclear breath. I don't know, man. It is a good point, but also he's like slow and plotting, and King Kong is, he's like the boxer who's the little boxer is fight. You remember that video that came out forever ago of Conor McGregor sparring with Thor Bjornsson, the mountain from Game of Thrones? Like that's kind of what I think of. McGregor's moving around and sticking and moving, and Thor Bjornsson is huge, and if he gets his hands on you, he'll fucking tear you in half. But still, Conor has a shot in that, right?
I guess, but King Kong is still, I mean, they're different shaped beasts and monsters. Like, but King Kong, like height wise, I think is pretty much up there with Godzilla, isn't he?
They made him as big, it seemed like.
Yeah.
They needed to, or else it wouldn't have been a fair fight.
Also, that's driven me nuts is like they've never been consistent about how big these stupid things are. Just stick with something. Are they the size of a house, or are they the size of a fucking skyscraper?
I think
we're at a skyscraper now.
Yeah, I think it's bigger, better. You got to go bigger.
Are we all team Godzilla here?
I want Kong.
I think it's more of an even fight than what people are saying.
What team are you on, Smithers? Stop that nonsense.
Well, obviously, it's Godzilla's going to win because this is a Godzilla movie, and Godzilla makes more money than King Kong. So,
money aside, if we're not putting our betting hats on right now for once. Money aside, what team are you on?
I think Godzilla would reckon because they don't start like in a ring right next to each other. This isn't a boxing match.
Who do you think has better morals? Is what I'm getting to. I mean, Godzilla just fucking could have went deeper down into the sea, but instead just trucked through that fucking ship, killing thousands of people probably.
King Kong has better morals. He's a primate. He's not a cold-blooded psychopath like Godzilla. I'm all the way King Kong.
Wait, you're saying that because he's a primate, he has morals? What do you think humans are? We're fucking terrible.
Yeah, but I think lizard people? You think lizard people or lizards have more morals? No, I'm saying Godzilla. Godzilla's a lizard. He's a cold-blooded creature. There's no way he has any morals.
He's just a lizard.
He could be considered a person.
Okay, sure. this is where we're going with this conversation, then why the fuck?
But we have Millie Bobby Brown on Godzilla's side. Isn't that the King Kong girl of Godzilla, basically? There's always like that little girl. Well, she's not little anymore, but there's always that younger girl who is like touches his heart, you know?
There's a newer, younger little girl that is on Team King Kong. Is that the new Millie Bobby Brown now? But I'm with King Kong. You got to go for the underdog.
Who said he's the underdog?
You guys are saying he's the underdog.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you they're going to make this an even fight. Because there wouldn't be a fucking movie if there was no conflict. That has to be an even fight at least for an hour. Otherwise, there's no movie. There's no story to tell.
If this was actually happening in real life, what kind of prop bets do you think DraftKings would do for this? What profit boosts would they make? Would they just be like, all right, 10 minutes into the fight, if King Kong starts beating his chest, you can fucking bet on that.
No, it'd be like, how many damsels is King Kong going to climb the Empire State Building with? And how many is he going to bite in half or some shit?
Naturally, sorry, I was just going to say naturally lizards take turds like every 3 minutes. So would King Kong Godzilla just be dropping fucking car-sized turds every couple minutes throughout the fight?
Deadly deuces. I think, first of all, collateral damage might be a number over under collateral damage.
How many trillions?
Exactly. I think the location is going to be the big factor. If you're fighting Godzilla in the water, like he kind of was on the boat, Godzilla's got the upper hand. If you're going buildings where you can climb on top of things and kind of have a little monkey business, that's King Kong's realm.
I don't know. What if we're talking Tokyo though? That's fucking Godzilla's home court.
Yeah, but he lived like in the water off of Tokyo.
I don't know. I think he's still familiar with that city, that landscape.
More so than King Kong. King Kong ain't flying to Tokyo. I don't know. We've spent way too much time talking about this already. But anyways, I saw a Skarsgård in there. I can't tell which one. They all look the same. And obviously Millie Bobby Brown is back. I liked kind of that this trailer, instead of just giving you like the Chris Nolan blah, like they threw in music. Remember when trailers had music in them? Even if they were
boom, it's just like POD.
Yeah. Fuck it. Why not?
Okay. Here we go. Timer on the clock. It is 4-1. Smithers is crushing Mark right now. Mark, you need to do a comeback.
Why don't you do a round?
Because you guys don't have the fucking questions and you guys never bring it up. It has to be random and it has to be spur of the moment.
Make up a question.
Yeah, think of the question and do it, and then maybe we'll do it. Anyway, monster movies. Go.
Godzilla versus Mothra.
Okay, Godzilla's out now because you can't do sequels.
King Kong.
All out.
Like, okay, Cloverfield.
Isn't that an alien?
That's monster. That counts.
Monsters Inc.
Good one. What? That has monsters in it. What are you talking about? That's way
fucking monsters in it.
All right, Frankenstein.
There you go.
Fucking
Tom Cruise. Frankenstein. Tom Cruise.
The Mummy.
There you go.
All right.
Love and Monsters.
Fuck, that's a good one. Oh, Maze Runner.
I can't.
There are monsters in that. Yeah, I saw it. 10 seconds.
Remember that movie with Anne Hathaway?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good one. 5 seconds.
What is it?
2,
fuck,
1.
All right, I lose.
God, what? You
I don't have enough coffee this morning, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna have to switch this up. Like
Dracula, the Wolfman. There was like fucking 15. You could just list off all the original monsters. Monsters Inc. was a good one though.
I had the Meg in the chamber.
I would accept the Meg.
The Meg's considered a monster.
Why not? It's a giant shark. How are you going to say Monsters Inc. is allowed, but the Meg isn't?
Literally in the title.
Dude, there's hella monsters in Monsters Inc.
Halle Berry was in a movie called Monster, and I'm pretty sure there weren't any monsters in it.
Yeah, but Monsters Inc. actually has the whole story is about monsters.
I think the whole thing is under protest because didn't you say giant monster movies or was it just monster?
I just said monster movies.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, I win.
You can't be specific. All right, 5-1. Smithers is out there.
I'm not going to argue with you.
We've not done 6 of these. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there has. I've done like 3. There's 3 each episode the last 2 weeks.
I'm
so
not doing 3 of these each episode if that's what you're going down the path of. There's no way.
I'm just saying that's what it's at.
Sorry, Mark's a sore
5-1. Yeah, he's butthurt loser bitch. Sorry.
All right, this next one isn't really a trailer, but I think it did bring kind of an interesting talking point because apparently we're getting DVD style commentary for my favorite movie of last year, Palm Springs. So it's not just an excuse for me to go back and watch it again, but also like get some insight from Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti and the writers and directors on it. I think this is kind of a step towards getting DVD extras. Does anybody else have any interest in this, or am I just a nerd?
I thought they did this kind of thing already.
Not that I'm aware of, at least on streaming.
I mean, it hasn't been an itch that I've needed to scratch, but because it is Palm Springs and I loved that movie as well, I'm interested in seeing it. But it's not one of those things that I'm like, if they bring back like deleted scenes and bloopers, absolutely. Please do that. That's amazing. I love bloopers, but I could give or take, depending on the movie, obviously, the director's commentary and what they're into. Meh.
What I need is more like drunken Ben Affleck looking back on a movie that he made 5 years ago, and now he's doing DVD commentary on it. And I know he's sober now, so maybe that's a bad example, but I need stuff like that.
Grasping at straws, nobody cares.
Yeah, I guess not. That's okay. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the big teaser that Netflix released. It was basically a movie a week, and they were previewing all their shit. Well, HBO Max, not to be outdone, released a trailer doing the same kind of things. So I'll start with you, Mark. Did you see anything in there that excited you a little bit?
Obviously, Suicide Squad.
You get the first
Dune.
maker about to drop an F-bomb.
Yeah, Dune's going to be fucking unreal, most likely. Timothy Chalamet, right, Brick?
My guy. What is the Hugh Jackson movie?
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman, I'm sorry.
Are you kidding, or was that like a joke?
That was a joke.
He just can't stop looking up names. It's just what he does.
We should do a round with Brick where you just have to name actors' names, and he'll fucking just plummet.
See how many he fucks up. I think this is the movie called Reminisce, and I'm not really sure what it's about. Yeah, there's a trailer for this. Don't know anything about it, but I will watch it because he's very handsome and charismatic.
Hugh Jackman's the man. He just seems like a cool dude.
I think most importantly, the movie that I care about the least is Tom and Jerry. I think it's going to be terrible. Nope, wait, I take that back because I saw LeBron James show up in that trailer, and the next Space Jam is the movie that I care about the least.
Ooh. Brick, how do you feel about that?
I'm a purist with Smithers on this one. MJ all the way. I mean, I'm going to watch it, obviously, but I'm going to be like, spite watching it like MJ's better.
MJ would have dunked from further away.
Exactly. I feel like there's going to be a lot of memes that come out of that movie for some reason.
Absolutely, because people love to shit on LeBron. I do kind of like this new trend of here's everything we're releasing coming up, and here's a sneak preview of all of it. So keep doing that stuff. I like it.
Mortal Kombat looks like it could be sick as shit.
I think I'm with you on that.
When they had Sub-Zero
Ice Sword, yeah, I'm here for that.
When they had Sub-Zero getting the ice going, it looked cool, and I was agreed into it. Let me get back to Reminiscence. Is that how you say that? A scientist discovers a way to relive your past and uses the technology to search for his long-lost love. So that's...
So kind of sci-fi, kind of love story?
Romance sci-fi thriller is what it says in IMDb.
All right, you got me with thriller. I'm good with that.
They haven't even dropped a date for that. Matrix 4 is coming December 22nd, supposedly.
I'd still be shocked if they don't keep moving some of these back to 2022 in hopes that they can
salvage some
of the money.
Yeah.
We'll see. Next trailer. Brick, this screamed you when I watched it. And this is for a movie called Crisis. So this is basically height of the Cold War, and Buffalo Custard Bath is the main character, and he's like a British salesman, and they send him to Moscow to be a spy. Miss Maisel's in there, and I know you love that show, Brick. What do you think?
I watched I think half of the first season of The Marvelous Miss Mavel. And what did you say this movie was called? Isn't this called The Courier?
Wow, maybe I wrote the wrong name down. I think you might be right.
It's The Courier.
So I mean, I like it, but it did remind me a little bit of like that Bridge of Spies movie with Tom Hanks that I actually did not really enjoy that much.
So boring.
It
So
was
fucking
boring. And I really hope it doesn't go down the same path that Bridge of Spies went down. And so, I mean, there seemed like there could be some hints of, you know, light comedy that our boy Benedict Cumberbatch kind of plays into. But
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, this probably has, I don't know, more. I guess you can't say better acting when it's something with Tom Hanks in it or something. You know, can't really compare Bendy Cat Cabbage Patch to Tom Hanks. It's not. They're not on the same level.
I think it's an interesting premise, though. I think, though, we're going to get a lot of the fucking. Obviously, it's about him, you know, secretively being an CIA agent or MI6 or whatever the fuck he is, and befriending this Russian dude. And it's going to be a lot of meetings between them, and he's going to just try to act like, no, he's not a fucking spy. And is he going to end up finding out and killing him? It might be some, you know, just underwhelming scenes like that, but we'll see.
It's going to be thrilling and suspenseful because you're like, you can relate to this guy being just a normal salesman who's like, oh, the government wants me to be this, you know.
He's not a normal salesman. He's an MI6 agent. Like he's not.
No.
He's a regular dude that they.
Oh, he's recruited by them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why they wanted him, because he is such a normal ass dude who probably already made trips to Moscow prior to that. I imagine there's some sort of connection that he can kind of go there without any problems and being under the radar. But I don't know. This didn't scream out to me like I know it does have the period piece. It does have war, spy, espionage. That seems like right up my alley, but it just seemed like it's not going to have enough action.
What about Buttercup Candy Crush? Don't you want to see him like in the middle of super scary, I might get caught scenarios?
I'm fine with that. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't do the most for me.
Okay. Bumblebee crusty ass.
In the chat. Thanks, Elise.
Last trailer. There's a Mighty Duck show coming to Disney Plus.
Quack, 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 quack.
Naturally.
Sorry.
You're on one of two sides on this, and it's either you're here for it for the nostalgia, or you're like, wow, they're really trying to revive this with Emilio Estevez.
The first thing that
which side I'm on yet?
Well, when I read that there was a Mighty Ducks show coming up, Mighty Ducks coming to Disney Plus is what you said in the notes there, and I was like, if there's no Gordon Bombay, then I'm fully out. But then he's back. Emilio Estevez. Emilio! So I'm in.
Did you, Brick, I know you watched part of Letterkenny. Did you notice that Shorzy is like the opponent's hockey coach?
No.
Yeah, that's him. And I laughed when I saw him. I thought that was hilarious because he's going from one of the most vulgar shows on TV to a kid's Mighty Ducks reboot.
I'm here for Mighty Ducks. I'm absolutely fine with them bringing that back.
Mark, are you a big Mighty Ducks guy?
Dude, I'm trying to figure out his family tree right now. His parents are Martin Sheen and Janet Templeton. Why is he Estevez?
He's what, Charlie
actor
Sheen's
name?
brother?
He's Sheen's brother. Charlie Sheen's brother. Half brother. Okay.
I think that's the lineage.
But it says his parents are Martin Sheen and Janet Templeton. So Martin Sheen's not his actual father?
I don't know.
I'm looking at Wikipedia. I'm super confused. I don't know. Anyone in the chat know? Let me know.
You can have different moms and still be half brothers.
Why is his last name Estevez?
I think that's just like a pseudonym. I don't think Emilio Estevez is
that's what I was.
Name. I could be wrong on that, but also I never really spent that much time thinking about it because
the oldest child of Janet Sheen and actor Martin Sheen, legally Ramon Estevez, is Martin Sheen's name. Okay.
Wow. Never would have known that. Okay.
Now you know. Trivia.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll add that to the trivia next week. Right? This week?
We
Next
haven't
week?
determined a theme.
Which is going to be chosen by the people.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Supposedly. We'll see. All right. Proper news. The Hollywood Reporter is saying that Warner Brothers is seeking writers and ideas to bring a Harry Potter series to HBO Max. How do we feel about this? Because what we've gotten recently with Fantastic Beasts, 2 movies out, 1 basically being worked on now, they've been subpar. Is there, obviously there's demand for this because people love Harry Potter. I don't know that either of you do necessarily, but there is a fandom out there for it. Mark, do you think that this will be something directly related to Harry Potter? Or do you think that they'll just do something in the universe that is tangentially related?
Harry Potter.
I'm going to go with directly related. I would like to see Harry Potter as like a dad. See how that plays out. I'm done with like the young Dumbledore type shit. Like I want to see something more in the future.
Where
My
are they
favorite
now?
ever is when they referred to his enemy as gay wizard Hitler, because it's in like World War II times, and it's so simple and so brilliant.
Gay wizard.
They don't have writers or directors attached to this yet, so theoretically it could maybe not happen, but also Harry Potter's a cash cow, so they're going to milk it for everything it's worth. Brick, you got any thoughts on this?
No, but I do like the idea of what Mark kind of brought up is like Harry Potter in the future, Dad Potter. And does he want his kids to be back into sorcery, or does his experience try to protect his kids from, magic and that whole world and realm
thing where you grow up and you don't want your kids to be in Hollywood because you've seen the dirty side of things. Maybe
exactly
magic. Okay.
And then maybe he reveals his sorcery to his children, and all of a sudden he's a cool dad. Maybe he's a dork ass dad. Then he tries to win his kids over affection with actually doing magic.
I don't think, and I'm basing this on absolutely nothing but speculation, but so does the stock market. I don't think Daniel Radcliffe wants to come back and have anything to do with Harry Potter.
Mm-mm.
I think that was a big part of his childhood, and now he's just like, I don't want to fucking think about that ever again.
I do agree that it's probably too soon for him to come back, because I think it just hasn't like been out long enough. I mean, they haven't even finished the trilogy after the fact. Like, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be back.
Nobody's waiting for that, though.
Right. That's true.
I bet Rupert Grint would do it. The guy who, the big redhead, he would come back and do it and be like a father. I think he does a lot of TV shows.
I mean, they got rid of Johnny Depp. What if they just were like, all right, fine. If Daniel Radcliffe doesn't want to come back, and they just fucking hired Bill Skarsgård or something to be Harry Potter?
They could technically recast it. I mean, especially if they did like a 50-year-old like a 45-year-old, where you have like an 18-year-old kid, maybe. Who knows?
Ron Weasley could be divorced from Hermione and then go back and forth. All right.
He starts doing wizard drugs, and he has to get his life back on track.
Wow. Yeah. Dark times for Ron.
Okay.
Hermione finally gets with Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, they do end up together.
Hermione and Radcliffe?
Yeah.
Wow. Big
At the end? At the end?
Well, let's just move on. So Buck Rogers is something that are you okay, Mark?
I thought that was hilarious.
Right.
Brick was just shocked. He's like, no way.
Wait, so Harry Potter steals Ron's girl from him?
She was never Ron's girl.
Harry and Hermione don't end up together.
She's her own woman.
Right, but they weren't dating. They were never like hooking up.
No.
Never had no magic. Okay.
No, Harry Potter is banging Ron's younger sister.
Harry Potter bangs Ron's younger sister. I thought.
Weasley.
Yeah. What about?
You got to rewatch these before you keep talking about Harry Potter.
Brick thought you said that Potter ended up with Hermione at the end.
Yeah.
No, Ron did.
Yeah, that's what I. Okay.
That's why I thought it was funny, because I was playing along.
Ron and Hermione finally end up together, and I said they did end up together.
No, I said. I'm talking about Radcliffe, Harry Potter, and Hermione.
Let's just fucking move on.
Harry Roncliffe. Yeah. Okay.
Buck Rogers, okay, is a property that none of us are old enough to have seen. I'm close, but not quite old enough. but it is the basis of a lot of space exploration TV series and shit like that. This was developed back in the 1920s. And now Brian K. Vaughan, lauded author, comic book writer of things like Saga, Why the Last Man, and a bunch of other cool stuff. He's going to write, and George Clooney is attached to come on as Buck Rogers. So this is pitched as a Legendary is like a production company. They bought out Nerdist and stuff. They've done a ton of big movies. I think they did Cloverfield, since we mentioned that earlier. They're talking about a Buck Rogers miniseries. Presumably this would show up on Warner Brothers, because I think they have a relationship with Legendary. But any interest in this? It's like a real life, or the original Buzz Lightyear, I guess you should say.
So how does that go into play with Chris Evans playing Buzz Lightyear original?
Completely not related.
Damn,
when I say original Buzz Lightyear, I mean Buzz Lightyear is a spoof of Buck Rogers.
Okay. And then what? So Chris Evans is actually playing Buzz Lightyear if it was a fake reality. Like, I'm confused about what Chris Evans is doing with Buzz Lightyear.
It was just a simile. Buck Rogers and Buzz Lightyear have nothing to do with each other.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want George Clooney in more things. I'm here for it. Also, fuck you, Joe.
I think George Clooney is falling off, and he's doing bad stuff now. So we'll see.
Dude, as long as they don't bring back this fucking thing from the original one, what is this? This is what nightmares are made of. This is so fucking scary.
I also love when you go into like the background of production on this and you add in pictures and I don't see them beforehand and you just drop it and I'm terrified because it's always something creepy or gross. But let's move this along since we're off the rails so much. Mark, come March 18th, we will all be cursed with the Snyder Cut. Are you counting down the days or are you dreading it?
I'm still not clear. Is this going to be one movie now that's 4 hours, or is it going to be 3 different movies that are 2 hours each?
My understanding is one movie, but also it's coming to HBO Max. You can just watch it however you want.
Yeah.
Also, you know how it ends, so who gives a shit? Like, there's no movies get split into 2 to leave a cliffhanger, but everyone either knows what happens or doesn't give a shit at this point. So
I don't know. I've never been a Snyder bro. I'm mainly excited for this just to see how it pans out with the Snyder Cut fans.
Really, the only directors whose nuts you hang off of are Chris Nolan and Michael Bay. So
yeah.
We should bring up that Chris Nolan argument again. That was fun.
People rushing to defend Chris Nolan on the internet. Who gives a shit?
Those
have got to be Chris Nolan
scholar,
right?
It's art, and you are an idiot, Smithers.
You are a peasant, Smithers.
You have an opinion that's different than mine, so you're fucking stupid.
You have no artistic integrity at all.
Whatever. Fuck Chris Nolan and fuck you.
Brutal.
Best.
We the best.
Worst.
The worst. She's the worst person in the world. Huge skank, terrible. But thank you.
Boys, you know what that sound means. Who wants to go first?
I will go first. The headline here is confused jealous wife stabs husband after seeing her younger self in old photos.
I almost used the story.
It's really interesting. I'm just going to read directly from the article mainly. So there's a city in Mexico where they're identifying the lady as Lenora N. was arrested for wounding her husband Juan N. with a knife after finding several photos on his cell phone. The husband who managed to take the knife from her explained that the photos were of him back when they were more youthful and slim. So they were photos of them together. She just didn't recognize herself and thought he was with another woman and decided to just stab him multiple times.
That is impressively stupid and crazy.
Aggressively crazy too. Like, it's an old ass picture. Clearly he's old. So that's like going after somebody for a girlfriend that they dated even before they even met, but it was her. So it makes it even worse.
Also, defaulting to stabbing immediately is a little bit aggressive. You couldn't ask some questions. Like, hey,
right?
Bitch. Well, dear, that's you 40 years ago or whatever.
Before you became a FAMF.
I will say
psycho.
There was a decent reasoning as to why she was so suspicious, because they were super old photos And I guess what this Wand guy did is had them digitalized to where they could be put on his phone. So he took extra steps to get him onto his phone, and she just didn't probably think that was possible. It's still hilarious.
Lil Mo kind of brings up a good point. If she has Alzheimer's, then it's a little bit of a different story, because then that's just your brain doesn't work the right way in terms of, but still not
stab worthy. Still
not stab worthy. Yeah, not stab worthy. And apparently she doesn't have Alzheimer's.
If you live with someone who has Alzheimer's, maybe hide the knives.
Let's check in on someone. Well, yeah, we'll check out on her in 10 years. We'll come back. We'll be
phone, remind me, 10 years. Check back in on this. All right, I've got one. And my worst person alive is a woman by the name of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I think has just taken on the mantle as the largest Karen of all Karens.
I was almost going to do this one, but then it was too long of a passage to read. So, Kappa, you did it.
So she's a congressperson, and that is the most terrifying part of this. But she did give me what I think is my favorite mishmash of words that I've come across so far in 2021, and that is secret Jewish space laser.
Sounds interesting. Marjorie
Taylor Greene, on top of being a congressperson, is actually a batshit crazy conspiracy theorist. She's backing QAnon a ton. She thinks that some of the school shootings that occurred at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas down in Florida, that was fake. It was a false flag, and those people didn't actually exist. So she's going around hounding these people who survived it and calling them liars and shit to their face.
Good.
I almost just dropped a word that I shouldn't say on here, so I'm not going to call her the C word, but that's what she is. But now she's saying that the forest fires in California were actually caused by the Jews in power, and they used their giant space laser to start these fires in California so that large corporations could come in and buy the land for cheap and build their factories and push people out of California.
Space laser is a stretch. I wouldn't believe, but it would make more sense if you said like a giant magnifying glass or something, you know?
So she loses you specifically at space laser.
Absolutely.
You follow her right up until that point.
I try. But then, yeah, it just falls off for me.
I'm attaching you to all of her conspiracy theories going forward. So
that's fucking insane.
Next time she comes out with something batshit crazy, I'm going to ask your opinion on it.
Speaking of conspiracy theories, whatever happened to those random, like, you know, I don't know, are we calling them statues or just fucking
the monoliths?
Yeah, the monoliths in like Croatia and Salt Lake City or wherever the fuck it was.
Here's my conspiracy theory.
Did we forget about those? Are they gone? Like, what happened with that?
I think they're gone, but the Super Bowl is next week, and obviously it's one of the most notorious times for Super Bowl ads, TV commercials. I bet we find out, and I'm just totally shot in the dark here. I bet it's an advertising campaign, like one of those guerrilla marketing things, and we're going to find out during the Super Bowl. And it will have just been an ad for tampons or something.
Are we going to get a GoDaddy ad, do you think?
Entirely possible. Mark, who's your best man alive?
He already did
mine already.
Oh, sorry, Brick. Who's your best man alive?
I have a headline. Yeah, he does. Look, hide the knives. Hide the knives. So let's see. In Slovakian news, police reporting to a gas station robbery find a half-naked woman satisfying the thief orally. So a robber began robbing a gas station.
What does that mean? Satisfying orally, or oral sex, or like brushing his teeth? Like, what are we talking about here?
What?
I mean, she could be like brushing his teeth in like a really.
You think that? So when you
way.
are about to go to bed, you tell your wife Kelly, "Hey, I'm going to go pleasure myself orally real quick. I'll be right back."
Depends on what kind of automatic toothbrush you have, and what kind of levels of the speed you got, and you know, there's different.
Boys, this might be an all-time stupid fucking episode of the Chumpcast. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that after 231 episodes, we can still come with this kind of heat.
Of course.
I don't even know if I even finished this.
All right, so we're talking oral sex here. Just say it, Brick, dude.
We're talking about toothbrushes. You were absolutely spot on, dude. So the 24-year-old man just got in there, robbed the cash register, then started punching the worker. As that person walked in, or as that was happening, a 36-year-old woman walked in and basically was blowing the thief.
Did they know each other beforehand?
They did not. And that's like literally all this is a small little news article, and that's basically the headline. So
that must be one charismatic robber.
Now suck my dick.
I'm going to brush my teeth, but I want you to suck my dick while I do it.
Double oral pleasure. Yeah, double oral pleasure. I'm going to brush my teeth while you suck my dick, and then you can brush your teeth afterwards.
Please brush your teeth afterwards.
He could have been super charming, but how charming do you have to be? Was he wearing like a fucking ski mask?
Doesn't say, but
maybe she was into some shit if he was.
Or maybe she was like, I got to do something. Hey, give me your dick. And then they started sucking the dick. And as she has a mouthful, she's like, there he is, officer. Arrest this man.
All right. Well, I don't know if we should be laughing. There was consent here. Is what they're saying, though.
Yeah.
Did she feel forced to do it because she was just fucking?
No, because that could be dark.
Distress.
Yeah. They didn't say anything about that. So
okay.
Yeah, Elise in the chat says that she's a hero because this woman was just distracting him until the police showed up.
Yeah, it's a power move.
Go that route.
Sorry, you can't overpower this guy who has a gun, so might as well, suck his dick.
Wow.
Or brush his teeth. Who knows? Nobody knows at this point.
You guys have never had like some really good mouthwash and just spit it out and be like, wow, that's fucking refreshing.
You're not a swallower, you're a spitter.
You don't swallow. I mean, mouthwash.
Maybe you don't.
Yo, hit the drop. We're done here.
Oral pleasure on the Chumpcast.
We're done here. I hope Azrael's not watching this with his like young son right now.
I hope nobody's watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how young you are. I just hope nobody's watching this. Just click the download button and don't actually listen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think we need to make a clip out of that one. Somebody clip it.
I hope the 5 people in the chat right now are like those guys we used to get from like Mumbai that are like, you want hot sex, girl? Hit me up.
Bob and Vagine.
Yeah.
Like, I got toothbrushes.
Our movie review for this week, which is why we're actually not here, or why we're actually here. I'm not here, mentally at least, is for a movie called The Little Things. This debuted on HBO Max yesterday, Friday, January 29th. This is the first in their tandem theatrical and streaming releases. Currently at 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, 58% from fans. A very low review count at this point, so maybe I'll check out IMDb and whatnot. But this is kind of a neo-noir because it's more current, but it's set in the 1990s. I had trouble trying to figure out when this was set originally. I don't know if they like threw up a card at the beginning, but I was watching. I'm like, those cars look newer, but some of the shit's old and people are using payphones. But anyways, this movie stars some big names in Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. Jared Leto is peak creep in this movie. It's him probably just acting like his true self. So we'll get into that a little bit later. This was written and directed by a guy named John Lee Hancock. I thought this was kind of interesting because apparently this is an idea that was out there. And the reason this is set in the 90s is that it was originally pitched in the 90s. There's like the first draft. I'm just reading this from Wikipedia, so take that with a grain of salt. But first draft written by Hancock in 1993, and Steven Spielberg was initially attached to direct because, but he passed on it after a couple of rewrites because he thought it was too dark. This was going to star Clint Eastwood, Warren Beatty, and Danny DeVito. I want to see that version.
Wait, who is Danny DeVito? The Cap?
He's got to be the killer.
Ooh.
Just creepy Danny DeVito. That'd be so fucking perfect. But
anyway,
anyway,
that's where Leto got this walk from that he was doing in.
And the paunch, that had to be a fake paunch, right? Like Jared Leto's never touched a carb in his life.
No, yeah, it's fake.
Yeah, it was not super good looking, but
fat, skinny. Also, wasn't Wonder Woman the first dual movie, or was that for?
Did that go to theaters?
That went to theaters.
in the U.S.
Okay, I don't know for sure, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If it is, then this is the second. So,
Okay.
whatever, maybe I misspoke. Back to the little things. This is early 1990s in L.A. Denzel is our main protagonist. He's a aging police officer in a small town outside of L.A. But you come to realize that he was a head homicide detective in the LAPD, and he was kicked out for kind of unknown and maybe seedy reasons. But now Rami Malek has taken over that role, and there's a tangential case that Deacon, played by Denzel, has to go back and get some information on, and he gets dragged back into this case that he never really could solve. And it seems like it might be related to the case that Rami Malek's character is working on now. I think I covered it all.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to do spoilers on this?
I think we kind of have to.
Okay. So we'll do that later on, and I'll mark it very clearly. I think I'm with you because I was texting with a buddy of mine, Mike, and he watched it too, and he was a little, maybe he missed something in the ending that I think is very important to a twist that may or may not exist. So we'll get into that later on. But before we do that, Brick, why don't you give me your high-level thoughts on this movie?
First of all, it's good to see Denzel back. Last movie he was in was Equalizer 2, and that was in 2018.
So a
now,
bad movie.
So yeah, and then I mean, he hasn't been in. He's probably done one movie a year, and even taken a couple of years off in 2015. He didn't have any movies, but he's been slowly coming back. He's got another movie coming out a little bit later called Macbeth. Anyway,
doing Macbeth.
Macbeth, Macbeth.
That sounds like it was spelled.
It's on IMDb.
Okay, continue.
Anyway, I enjoyed this movie a lot, actually. I thought the score was like eerie, but it was like kind of new age to a certain degree, but it was delicate and they played off that well. I think there was like part of it was like harp, part of it was like piano, and it was like creepy, and it felt like it was it just felt the tone of the movie. It fit it really well. I also liked Jared Leto as the killer. He was creepy as fuck. How he got his dark, dead eyes and his like beat-in bags under his eyes and his greasy ass hair. I just wanted him to be the killer so bad. Everybody wanted him to be the killer, you know? Maybe he was.
Did you guys, because I watched this before you both, and I messaged you guys and was like, wait until you get the first reveal of Jared Leto in this. And it's basically like him peeking out from behind a curtain with his sunken face and dead eyes that you just described. And I laughed out loud because I was just like, this creepy motherfucker. He's doing it again.
How do you hire somebody for an appliance store like that and just be that creepy? You're like, I'm sorry, I'm going to not hire you. You're gross.
Yeah.
You could murder me. You're going to murder me is what it looks like.
He wore those appliance store clothes like throughout the whole movie.
He doesn't have any other outfits. That was the only thing he ever wore. Anyway.
Weirdo. And there was tucked in, and you see his little belly hanging over.
Ooch, yeah. Brick, I want to go back to this Macbeth thing. This is Macbeth, like the Shakespeare play.
Macbeth.
Denzel's going to play Lord Macbeth, and Frances McDormand, you remember her from
Three Billboards
in Missouri? She's fucking excellent. She's in it too. I don't know how I haven't heard anything about this, but this looks fucking awesome.
So I actually don't know anything about the Macbeths.
That's fine. I mean, you don't have to. It's the play. It'll be interesting to see how they do it, like if they do it in more of a modern setting. But also it's kind of funny because Macbeth, like the stage play, is historically cursed, and somebody who plays in Macbeth like always gets hurt or, you know, loses their voice before a performance or something like that. It's kind of like an urban legend type thing. So that's interesting to me, but I digress. Back to the little things. Mark, what did you think?
I didn't think it was that great, to be honest. I had issues with the ending. I think I absolutely understood what they were doing with the ending, and it wasn't that clever. Like, I get it. And they wanted to leave it more open-ended. The acting is another thing I think I was a little bit let down with. And I think other people were too. But one of the main reasons I think people were is because we have Denzel in this. And I would say he was sharing a lead role with Rami Malek. And I think people had a hard time accepting that, you know, because when you get a Denzel movie, you get a Denzel movie. And this was not just a Denzel movie. I wouldn't say his acting was bad. It wasn't any of his better stuff.
You wanted more Denzel, or
I don't know, because at the same time, like, Rami Malek was fine. I can't see him in this role as a cop. It's just hard for me to get my head around. I just don't feel like this is his type of role. And I get like, give him a chance, you know, don't just make him the villain, which is what he was like bitching about, which makes sense being in Bond. And they're like, oh, you're the villain for sure. Cause he does have that really unique look, speaking of eyes and everything. I don't know. I just couldn't do it with him as the cop. I think Jared Leto, yes, Brick, to your point, he super creepy. I had no problem with the way he acted in this. He was just trying to be as creepy as possible. And I think he was successful doing that. It was just the acting was, it just, with this cast, it was a little bit of a letdown. I didn't really care for the ending that much. And it was a slow burn through the first hour of the movie. So I didn't love it. I wouldn't say don't fucking watch this. Should give it a chance, I think. But overall, I'll just say right now, I would say save it for my rating.
I think that's fairly accurate. I agree with most of what you said there. And I'm looking at IMDb with 5,300 reviews. It's about a 6.5. And that's about where I'd put this. It was good enough to keep me watching. Not great. Not great enough for me to go tell everybody you need to go see this right now. I do think the acting was a little better than you gave it credit for. But I see what you mean. And Rami Malek, his face easily, you could have flipped him and Leto, and they both have murderer face, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Leto was perfectly creepy in this. This is, I think he did an excellent job being the weirdo. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get more of him though. We're talking about 3 Oscar winners here, so it is. I can see how it would be hard to find screen time for everybody, especially if you're trying to build mystery, but that's pretty good points. I thought the acting was very well done. Even some of the supporting roles were very well acted, even if it's just like a that guy or that girl actor out there. But I think I'm with you. I think this is a save it. Brick, what about you?
See it, Brick?
I'll be the contrarian on this one. I enjoyed the slow burn. Of course, I would have probably liked to see a little bit more of Jared Leto, and maybe a little more of the killer doing something, and kind of rather than this cat and mouse chase. But overall, I really enjoyed the acting, and I thought the score brings you into that eerie, creepy place, and I think it's a good watch for 2 hours, and then it has an interesting cliffhanger, more or less, twist that can kind of interpret it in a certain way, and I liked it. I say see it.
Okay, fair enough. I do. They also kind of wedged in jokes every now and then, which I was not expecting. I thought this was just going to be like pure crime noir type dark stuff, and nothing gets me like a good sign rearranging or something like that. Like when you drive past a fast food joint and somebody's fucked with the letters on their sign. And the place in the beginning called Black Angus, where the guy is complaining that they keep breaking all the lights out of his G. I laughed.
So did I.
There's some good one-liners in there too. Like, cops are always busting each other's balls and shit. And at one point we got to some guy says no sleep for the ugly. I thought that was a pretty good line too. So yeah. And I really enjoyed the way that Denzel played the nonchalant cop, where he's in the presence of a dead, bloated corpse that probably smells horrible, and he's just like casually putting his chapstick on. And can you imagine that?
It's disgusting. Yeah,
numb to it.
That desensitized to something absolutely horrible.
They bring that up in the movie too, which is good. How he is like it's better to not get used to the smell, or it's like stuff along those lines.
Let's talk about your actual favorite scene in the whole movie, Smithers. favorite but not favorite scene is when they were looking through creepy Leto's trash bag and a bush can falls out. Fucking loved that probably, but at the same time hated it knowing that Jared Leto and his character was drinking bush.
I mean, at least you know where that paunch came from because he's drinking gold top bushes.
Yeah, not light, just straight up.
Light, man. He's going full in. He's not fucking around. So, it's something else. The diddler guy that they bring in first, that they think is the murderer. Why does every diddler in every movie own the same like terry cloth made polo shirt that's like this tan color? Is that just like a fucking pedophile uniform or what? Because I was looking at this guy and I was like, Jesus, just be more typecast.
Just straight sweating, just at all times sweating, just profusely.
Flop sweat everywhere. So
gross.
Smithers spends his days profiling diddlers.
Dude, I got a kid now. I got to keep an eye out in my neighborhood. Somebody moved in next to me and he's wearing a terry cloth polo shirt. You're fucking right. I'm going to keep an eye on that guy.
4 sizes too small.
Yeah, probably.
Good look.
That was so 60s or 70s though, and this is supposed to be in the 90s. That's why I was so fucking confused on when this movie was set.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting in like a 1993 Ford Taurus, but this dude is dressed like it's the 1970s. But
I was trying so hard to catch them being lazy. Like I was looking at all of the stoplights, trying to see if there's like a red light camera on any of them, like trying to pick out something that would tell me like, okay, this is for sure not the 90s, but didn't catch anything.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to say anything else that you got to say before we do spoilers. So spit it out or forever hold your peace.
I think this is getting a little bit more heat than it maybe should be getting online. I don't think it's terrible. Huh?
Good or bad heat?
Bad heat. Bad heat. I don't think it's terrible. I think you should give this one a chance. You might like it, like Brick did. And I just didn't think not the acting, but the actors that we had in this movie, I don't think they were utilized to their full potential, especially like Denzel. But there were definitely some good things with this movie. It was interesting, especially if you like thrillers, murder mysteries. Give it a shot, but I'm going to say save it.
Did you guys have to put in on closed captions? I felt like I had,
but I don't think I had to.
I felt like I had to. I felt like there was a lot of mumbling. I felt
interesting. Okay, yeah, you're not the first person that I heard that from. So maybe I guess I just didn't notice it as much. I typically do watch with the closed captions on. My mother-in-law is kind of hard of hearing, so like anytime she comes over, the closed captions are on, and I've just gotten used to it at this point. And sometimes you'll pick up on something in the background that you wouldn't have if you were just listening to the dialogue. So
true.
I typically just watch with closed captions on. Also, I'm an old man, so whatever. I had in my notes, like, I know this was the early 90s and shit, and things were a lot different back then, but they just let Denzel in an active crime scene, like, back into the apartment, and he starts drinking some beer that the murderer left in the fridge. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I digress. Spoilers from this point forward. I'm going to throw up a little banner here at the bottom. So if you're watching the YouTube and you want to watch this and you don't want it spoiled, you're warned now. I'll also mark it in the show notes for the actual podcast.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
I did not mean to click that, but I did anyway. So,
all righty,
Downey Jr.
It worked.
All right, let's do some spoilers for this. So, the ending, I thought, was a little bit predictable. Like I saw stuff coming before it happened, but that didn't necessarily take away from it for me. So one of the big points of this was looking for one of the missing woman's red barrettes. And she always runs with this thing holding her hair back. So this young girl's parents were saying, like, if you find the red barrette, you'll know it's our daughter. So Rami Malek's character is constantly searching for this, and it's driving him insane, and he can't find it. And I thought, Mark, when you were going to say your favorite scene in the entire movie, when you were making fun of me earlier for liking Bush, I thought you were going to say it was Jared Leto catching a shovel to the face, because that was my actual favorite scene in the movie. I had a little trouble believing that would just immediately one hit kill him, but
so did I.
Yeah.
Not really. No way he's dead.
Especially for Rami Malek's noodle arms. Yeah, no way, dude. He doesn't lift enough.
Wow, shitting on
It's
Rami
like a 20-pound shovel, probably. That was a big guy.
well, I don't know what shovel you're using that's 20 pounds, but sure.
I don't know. That whole scene, I thought Jared Leto was making him, first Rami Malek, dig his own grave or tire him out so that he could grab his gun and turn it on him and escape. That's kind of what I was looking for. I didn't really expect him to turn around and bank him on the head with the shovel.
I thought that was one of the good things about Leto's character, though, is that he was so openly creepy
and unpredictable, kind of.
Like the backstory that you find out later on that he confessed to a murder like 5 years prior. I thought that was a nice touch in letting you see what a psychopath this dude is.
Mm-hmm.
He's addicted. He's addicted to crime, and he felt, because he knows so much about crime, that since he didn't do the crime, he kind of could do whatever. He could mess with these cops, which was a bad idea.
Well, that's the thing too. And if you follow true crime, a lot of these serial killers, they just intentionally get sloppy towards the end because they want to get caught. Everyone wants to get caught eventually at some point, because either they can't live with the burden or they just get bored with it or what. But
or they want to be known for it. Like they want people to know they did it.
Kind of sick and twisted fame.
Yeah.
Also, it's so many people get incarcerated for not doing crimes that they but the evidence points towards them, but they didn't do the crime. So it's like, I don't know. He was dancing a fine line, and then through that whole movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. And some of the shit that he says to the cops, like when they first show him a headshot of the victim, he's talking about like how she's a pretty little thing, and if you get 11 more corpses, you could have a calendar. That was very unsettling, and for as creepy as it was, well written.
Yeah.
And after looking at the photos of all the girls that were murdered, he had a heart on.
Yeah, that was gross, but it did add to the creepiness level, I suppose.
Yeah, it was absolutely sickening. And Denzel losing his mind over it, and I thought that was great acting, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I noticed when Denzel breaks into his apartment, there's copies of true crime books like on his shelves. Like there was a big red copy of Helter Skelter, and they do a callback to that later on when Denzel's burning all of the shit that he stole. Little stuff like that, I think, is interesting.
The little things.
There you go. What a callback. I still think, as far as acting, Denzel is the king of the eyebrow raise, like, oh shit, really look. So he's still got that going. And as soon as he can't do that anymore, you'll know that he's washed up. But that's probably never. What did you guys think of the reveal that Denzel had murdered one of the girls when flashing back to the original crime scene that kind of kicked off this murder spree from presumably Leto's character?
I think it was a little disjointed, going back and forth. They wanted to build suspense and mystery, but I don't know. I thought it was just a little disjointed. It took me a little bit out of it. I mean, it was a decent reveal, but it wasn't my favorite part of the movie.
I thought it did a lot to kind of reveal why.
Yeah, it was essential for the ending.
Reviled in the police department from some people. So some people actually know the truth that he accidentally shot this woman who kind of surprised him coming out of the woods. And they kept referencing it like throughout the movie. And I'm sure that there were more instances. Like if I went and rewatched it again, I would pick up more on that. But at one point, Rami Malek's character asks, like, why were these two girls here and the third girl was in a completely different area? So like there's little clues interspersed throughout the movie that I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, and I did so I didn't love the ending, but I appreciated how they tied that actually together, and you now knowing what happened to Denzel, what he did, and at the end we are under the impression that they don't have enough evidence or any evidence to really pinpoint Jared Leto as the killer right now, and Denzel knows that, but he doesn't want Rami Malek to live, with the burden of knowing that potentially he killed an innocent person like Denzel did. So he kind of set it up to where he wanted to relieve, that stress that Rami Malek was going through, knowing that there's a possibility he was a killer, and maybe it was just in that way, but they also didn't have evidence. So Denzel just, planted the hair clip to say, okay, I'm going to do this so you don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I got from it.
Yeah. Denzel's character cleans out Jared Leto's apartment, like so that there's not going to be any evidence that could tie them back to this. And You can tell that Denzel went through some of that shit. Like his character went through not knowing whether or not somebody was the actual killer, and he didn't want Rami Malek's character to have to go through that. So I thought that was pretty cleverly done, even if it was a little bit predictable. I was waiting for him to pull out something that was, I don't know how they would have revealed it other than like a 3-pack of barrettes where the red one was missing. So that I thought that tied it together fairly well. But
what did you guys think of the initial victim where she's the dumbest girl of all time and pulls off? She's getting followed by the killer, and then she pulls off to this clearly abandoned gas station
and stops driving.
Leaves the car door open, leaves the keys in the car while the car is running, and then just was being a dumb idiot. And then they kind of tie it in later how they ruined and tampered evidence because of her seeing him in the police, I guess, custody.
I actually like that, because the reveal where she sees Jared Leto in the police station. I like that because then it basically ruins any credibility that a witness has, because eyewitness accounts aren't nearly as accurate as what people are generally led to believe, and that's why a lot of people get falsely convicted. So I thought that was a nice touch. Again, in a movie like this, you have to have some sort of conflict. If she just drives back to LA and is in a crowd of people, then there's nothing to make a movie about. So you have to have some level of stupidity. It's like horror movies. You judge it based on how stupid the characters are. And yeah, what you did was really dumb. So what?
Yeah. Is it even a horror movie if she doesn't trip and fall at least once while getting chased by the murderer?
Or go into the dark basement and close the door behind her, even though she heard a noise that's probably a killer. Yeah.
So what I wasn't clear on in the very beginning, when she's in the car driving, are we under the impression that she is driving away from the killer? Like something happened previously to where she escaped him, because she was like anxious as fuck. She kept looking back. And then when she saw the car, she was freaking out. Like nobody in the right mind would just see a car and think they're following me, they're going to kill me. So I'm thinking she for sure
I've had that weird, creepy feeling where someone's like,
know,
why
dude.
is this guy, why is
like
this
she was
guy
gonna
following me
cry.
so close?
She looked like she was freaking the fuck out.
He was like aggressively trailing her, though. Like it wasn't just she was out of nowhere all of a sudden. No. And she was singing a song up until he pulls up behind her and is tailgating her really badly. So no, I don't think that there was anything that happened before that. I think that Jared Leto, or presumably Jared Leto, the killer, was just kind of stalking this girl and freaking her out.
He was, spooking her on purpose. And then I did like how he was eerily kind of creeping up and slowly. He got himself in situations where he could be a creepy guy in a car and just kind of slowly rolling up and then, just being a creepy killer.
And that early 70s lime green Chevy Nova, just hideous car, but you got to have an eye grabber like that. You can't be following somebody in like a Buick. So I don't have anything else to say about this. You guys want to wrap up the spoilers?
Yeah. By the way, that girl, if she's freaking out and someone's following her, that's when you turn off the music and you're just like, all right, I'm just going to drive. Like,
dude,
you're jamming out to some worst song ever.
I'm sticking to it. I think she previously escaped something, because go rewatch it, which you probably won't. She's listening to the music. She literally looks behind her, sees that he's right behind her for 1 second. Like, I would think a normal person would look behind him, think maybe that's a cop. Like, they wouldn't just start freaking the fuck out like she's about to cry. Like, you see it in her face. Like, she literally is fearful that she's going to die. And like, I don't think that's typical if you weren't previously being followed or escaped like some type of, almost murder type.
She's on a 1 or 2 lane, road highway in the middle of nowhere. I'm
saying her acting is shit, dude, because that didn't make any sense how she played that scene. Made no sense.
Of all the things that you've been wrong about on this podcast, this might be the most wrong you've ever been.
Dude, go rewatch it.
She was totally fine up until Jared Leto starts fucking with her on the highway.
But she reacted like in the sense that she didn't use any type of common sense to say like, okay, I'm not going to immediately think this is a killer behind me. Like any normal person would be like, okay, why is this guy trailing me right now? They wouldn't just be like,
you're the one that needs to go read the game.
Like, oh, I'm going to die. That would never happen.
It's 2 against 1 on this, and you're fucking wrong.
Yeah, so a
Like the-
random car behind you, all of a sudden there's no one behind you, and all of a sudden there's a random car that's like inches away from your bumper. And then she started being like, what the fuck is this guy about? And then he pulled up next to her, which made it even creepier because he was like staring at her. That, Mark, you're wrong, you're a dumb idiot.
Guys, stop being pussies, man. Just stop it.
So you're calling this young woman who was being stalked because she was on her own, you're calling her a pussy.
I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt and saying that previously that dude was following her, which we didn't see in the scene. You guys were saying, oh, it's natural for this to just happen out of nowhere. No, I'm saying that happened because of something previously that we weren't shown.
And I'm saying that you're fucking wrong and you need to go rewatch this.
You're fucking wrong.
Let's stop talking about the little things and let's do our recommendations for the week. I can kick this off. I, at the request of Brick, downloaded Hitman 3, and it is a very good game, and I enjoy it thoroughly, and eventually we're going to stream some of it. It's just I've been busy as fuck this week.
Well, it is the weekend. Maybe we can get something going later.
Well, I got my Magic for Humans thing tonight, so
Oh, fuck yeah, Magic for Humans.
maybe
How was
maybe
that thing, Brick?
some.
It was entertaining, and it's just good. It's like $25 for an hour long. It even went a little bit over an hour. Interactive show with Justin Willman, and he's great. He does tricks that it's impressive.
Tricks. A trick is something a prostitute does for
That's
money. Michael. They're illusions.
They're
I would
illusions.
hope he would do magic tricks for a magic trick show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in theory, you could get like 5 people together to watch this, assuming you're all socially distanced and whatnot. Like, I'm going to pay $25 for one ticket, and my wife and I are going to watch it.
Do you think he'll call someone out if they had like 7 people behind him?
Maybe.
No, 'cause they have it's like one, as long as they're all on the same device, you get one login. So anybody, he said it's as many people as you want.
Also, Justin Willman's chill as fuck. So,
Yeah.
Mark, what do you got?
Haven't watched it yet, but Resident Alien is now available on Hulu. It's starring Alan Tudyk and Sarah Tomko, and it looks pretty interesting. It's about an alien that comes to Earth that can disguise himself as a completely normal human, and I believe Alan Tudyk plays that normal human, and he's a doctor or surgeon or something, right?
Yeah. So it's like this small town. We watched the trailer for it a few weeks back. It's a small town where a murder happens, and he's kind of the doctor of the town. So Elise is in the chat, and she's saying it's actually based on a comic. I did not know that. But I'm also excited to watch this. I think it aired this week for the first time. So I think it airs on SyFy, which means it's going to be canceled really soon. But I'll give it a shot. Alan Tudyk is hilarious. I'll watch anything that he does.
Another Arrested Development reference. He is the church. He's Egg's mom. Egg's dad.
Yeah. We both call his mom. Anyway.
Apparently, you can't watch it on just Hulu. You have to have Hulu Live.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Because it's like an FX show or some shit.
I
Sci-fi.
guess so. I
Literally
tried.
Sci-fi.
You'd have to watch it with live TV.
Sci-fi. Okay.
Well, I'll see where I can find it. But
It does look good. It does look funny.
we're already running long, so let's wrap this up. We've rambled enough, and I'm out of words to talk. So
we gotta do WandaVision.
after this, we will do another Patreon exclusive recap of what we've been thinking of the last 2 episodes of WandaVision. Brick, you said you didn't like this episode very much. I thought it was really good. But
I watched
thought
it
it was
again.
great.
I watched
All right.
it again.
We'll get deeper into that. So this has been episode 231 of the Chumpcast. Again, please call or text us with your dumb questions, any comments you have. If you've seen something you liked recently that you want to recommend, or you just want to call and say hi, that's cool too. You can get us at 847-920-6107. And I think that's it. So
Just to clarify real quick, for the WandaVision recaps, this is a Patreon only exclusive. So if you're a Patreon and you're listening to this right now live in the chat, stick around for about 10 minutes. We're going to send another link from YouTube to the Discord and to the Patreon, so you guys can join line if you choose to. But other than that, we'll obviously post the recording once it's done to Patreon.
there you go. So that's it for this episode. Until next time.
Jumps out, motherfucker.
Ciao, bella.